welcome to cross stitching on a budget from scratch. Today is Friday the 28th of March 2024. No, it's not, because we're in 2025. Oh my gosh. Right then, okay, so I hope everybody got all their little bits and bobs ready for this week. I know that some of you have already contacted saying that you've got some kits from, you know, Home Bargains or The Works or something like that, or if you've decided to go down the individual route and you've got those, because today we are going to talk about the hooping up, how to read a pattern, and we're going to put an actual stitch in some Ada. Okay then, right, so I have got everything out, and yeah, I've had to try and find a free pattern that I can demonstrate with, so so you can actually see how to square up everything, and yeah, we'll do it all. So I am going to tilt you down. I've got everything all laid out here, and yeah, and then we're going to start stitching. Right then, okay, so I'm hoping that you can see this all okay. So the free pattern that I found is called Always by Heart in Hand. They're another great designer, they really are. But if you actually see, so let's fold that over like so. If you actually look on the pattern, there is 4 arrows. Now, when you actually go into them, point them into the middle, inwards, you'll find the middle stitch. So let's get my now don't get put off about all of this, you know what I mean, it is simple. So we're going to find that there and there, and then we'll bring this one up to there it is. That is my middle stitch. Okay, did you see how I did it? So you go, what I do is I just get a ruler or a piece of paper, depending how big your pattern is, and line up that to that, and then bring that up to that line. That is your middle stitch. Okay, right. Now, as I said last week, we're not going to use posh stands and all this, that and the other, because you're just starting. So, but I would advise on a hoop. So, as I said last week, you can get the wooden ones. Now, I have actually seen these in charity shops, so you can get them, or the plastic ones. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what hoop. Now, some stitchers will tape the bottom one. I'm sure it's the bottom one. So to protect your cloth and stuff. But to be honest with you, I don't keep my work in a hoop when I'm not working on it anyway. So I've never done that, and I've never had an issue. So, you know what I mean? You'll just start, and we don't need to complicate. Or you can get the little square or rectangle. Now, this is a Nudge, which is like the latest thing that's hit the cross stitch world over the last couple of years. They are good little hoops. I will say they are. And or I got this set off of Amazon last year, and I love them, absolutely love them. They're really good as well. So, you know what I mean, you can use different ones. Right then, so we have found the centre of our pattern. So next up, we will find the centre of our cloth. So which fold that a bit better than that. So this is a scrap of 14 count that I have. So fold it in half, line up that bit, fold that in half. Then I get a needle. Right, let's go up here and see. And then, so my line is going down there, so I will go, oh, get it in there. Oh. There we go. So that is my centre stitch of that piece of cloth. Now, when it comes to working with a chart, my advice would be is don't see it as, oh, you know, this fancy stuff that's on there. Each one of those is a square. It's a square, you know it's a square. It's a cross. Honestly, it's as simple as it is. So every one of those is a cross. Okay? So look at it as a cross. Right then, so let's just hoop up. So that one goes on the top. That one goes on the bottom. Push down, if I've got it open enough. There we go. Push down. There you go. There it is. There you are. There we go. Right. And then screw it back up again. As tight as you can get it. Right. I do like to try and pull it a little bit, but these dirge hoops, they just grab. They really do just grab. Okay, so right, I could have done that a little better actually. Oh, there we go, that's better. Okay, right, so I'm keeping that in there so it marks off my centre stitch. Now, I have decided to use black thread on a white because I'm hoping it will be easier for you to see. Now, I am oh, hang on. Let's start from the 6-strander. That would be easier, and I'll show you how to split it all and stuff. So, I am a loop starter, what I call a loop starter. I have been starting by the loop method since the 90s, you know what I mean? It's not a new thing. So, yeah. So, my thread is quite long because of the way I start, okay? Now, if you notice, when you have, you work your stranded cotton, you will actually have your one piece, but inside there is 6, okay? So what I do is I tap the top, always done it this way, and look, it splits it for you. And then you pick one, hold the rest, and pull it out. Okay? And then that gives you the one piece. Don't worry, if you haven't got, say if your kit don't come in along with a long piece, I am going to show you the other way of casting on. So then you fold it in half, you will have a loop that end and your 2 loose ones that end. I'm going to get another needle because I want to keep that centre in there. Now you can be a licker of your thread or not, it's entirely up to you. So put the 2 loose ends, not the loop, the 2 loose ends in the eye, and then at the end, see, look, there it is, there's your loop. Okay, now right, I'm going to bring you down so we're a bit more closer. Now say for instance, if your pattern will say that there is a stitch that's needed in the middle, then obviously that's where you start. If it's a couple over, well then you just count. If you look closely at this Ada, it's 4 little holes either side. There you go, look like that. And then that is where that cross goes in the middle. So we're going to just assume that this is going to need a cross in the middle. So I'm going to take that out. Right. So you come up the back. Now bear in mind, I'm left-handed, so I go from top left to bottom right. Where if you're right-handed, you will come up top right to bottom left, okay? That's the only thing you've got to try and remember is if you're right-handed, you will reverse. But the idea of it is that every stitch is going in the same direction. So I've come up at the top, down at the bottom, I turn it over, put my needle in that loop, pull it, I've cast on. Okay, that is that simple. Now, To do an actual cross, I will come up at the neck, at the top one over, and then go down at the bottom. There you go. It's a cross stitch. That is cross stitch. Honestly, that is cross stitch. Now, there is different ways that you can do this. My friend Teresa, she do a stitch at a time. I don't. Unless I use over dyed thread, I actually do a row at a time. So say for instance that a pattern called for 6 stitches. So I would come up at the top, down at the bottom, yet again, and just keep going. So that'll be 3. So this is the way I've always done it in a row. So 4. I must admit, I do use my needle as a guide. You'll hear that. I drag my needle at the back. So where am I? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's my 6. And then I just come back the other way. For instance, there we go. It's hard to see because I'm at the side and you're looking at the top. But there we go. We're getting there, aren't we? Okay, so there you go. Look at that. And that is a row of 6 cross stitch. So, and you just count the little which I'll show you in a moment. I'll show when you count them. Okay, and then say for instance if you want to go in, so you just miss that cross and then like that. And say for instance if there's a little piece in the pattern, say that says miss 2, so you see those. So that's 1, 2. So basic missed 2. And then carry on. So it all depends on what your pattern says. So like so. There we go. That is basically it. That is cross stitch. So as long as you can do your crosses, and the chart will tell you basically what to do. Now, casting off. So you flip over. If you see here on the back, your crosses will make little lines. So what you do is you get your needle and to thread that underneath, not actually going through, but underneath. So I've used a thicker needle so you could see what I'm doing. Underneath, like, so, like that. And you cut it off and you're done. Now, say for instance, now, you know, you don't want waste. We do not want waste. So say for instance your pattern says that you've got to do a little thing like that, and then you cast off and then you do all the other colours, and then you want to do up here another bit of black, but you know you don't want to make another loop. So what you do is you come up, hold those 2 tails at the back there, go down, pull that up to there, and then make sure that when you're stitching and you're coming up that back, your thread is going, see it? It's going over those two tails. So, and you do that for a couple of 3 stitches. Well, I do it for about 3 or 4, to be honest, to make sure that it's in there. Oop. There you go. There you go, see? And it naturally lays like that. So that is how you cast on when you don't do the loop method. Now, let's take that off. Say if, hopefully you're going to see the blue. Have I got any other colours? Okay, we'll go with this one. All right, see if I can get this undone first. Right, okay. So, okay, right. So let's say we tap the top. So what I want to do is show you how. So let's kind of. Say for instance, as I say, you've got thread left over and we don't want to throw that out. And you've got to cast on a new colour onto a piece that you've stitched. So basically you do the same thing. Okay. That if you haven't got, you know, you're not using a loop, so you go under there like that. You pull that until they're there. I always go over and do a secure stitch. I always have, and that makes sure that that actually is in there, and then basically you carry on stitching and you just follow what the chart tells you what to, you know, what to do. You don't have to follow the colours in any way or form. So, you know what I mean? It's optional these days. It's not as strict as it used to be. But, yeah, so that is basically it. It really is. So, that is how you cast on both ways, and how you finish. You always finish the one way. I will say, now a lot of people don't like it, but I personally do it. So, say for instance, if I was doing those little ones there and then I had to come up here, I am not going to cast off and cast on again. So I just don't do that. So what I would do is I would just go up there, take my thread up the back, you know what I mean, and then fill in what's needed. If it's only a small space, I will what I call travel. You know what I mean? I will do it. It's, you know. Yeah. Right then. Okay. So that is the basic cross stitch. Now, we're going to go over to a pattern. Right, I've shown you how to do, let's get it this way up, how to do the centre. So basically, as I say, you've got to look at every one of these as a cross, basically. Okay, so in there on the pattern, you will actually get, so it's got here, for instance, let's see if we can find something. Okay, right, yeah, how ideal. This cross here is this little heart here, okay, basically. And she's done it in Jakey Brown, I'm reading this upside down, or which is a classic Colourworks, or 223. Right, anyway, so, and yeah, so it is, so those crosses she suggested doing in that. As I say, you don't have to follow the colours at all, you really don't. So what you would do is you'd do a cross, what I would do is I'd start here, and then I would do those 2 halves, miss that one, do that 2 halves, because these blank ones are all no stitches, okay? No stitches. It's only the ones with the little keys, or some of them are coloured. All the different keys will be different, depending on the design. You would, so it's 2 crosses, miss 1, 2 crosses, then I would come back. Then I would go in 1 and do 3 crosses underneath, go back, do 1, and that's done. Okay, and then, you know, say for instance this one here, which is what she's called eggshell, okay, which is this line. So all these little lines here are crosses. And then here it's in one, because this is a blank. And then it's two, miss one, two, and so on. So the blank ones are not crosses. You just follow the little keys which they've given you, the little pictures basically of what they you know, you follow them onto your cloth, and that is how it's done. So have a practice and see how you go. If there's any questions, please ask me down below. And next week I am going to actually see if I can start something. I will see what I can do. But that is basically how you hoop up, how you would read your chart, and how you are going to do crosses. But as I say, hold on. Back. But as I say, you know what I mean? It is, I am left-handed. So I go left down. I go that way. So if you're right-handed, you are going to go that way. It's just natural, isn't it? So, yeah, you know what I mean? I hadn't thought of that before I started this until I started doing this today. Ah, dear me. Being a lefty sometimes. You can produce beautiful work, absolutely gorgeous work. And it is just seeing these little squares on this cloth, and they represent the little squares on your chart. Honestly, it really, really is. And as I say, I like going in a line, but there is stitches out there that do a cross at a time. I don't do that. I don't. But as I say, have a practice, see what you can do, and any questions, please get in contact. If you don't want to leave a comment down below here, there is always the email address. So if you'd rather go down that road, you are more than welcome. And yeah, so I'll be back next Friday with another a video on what we're going to do next. And as I say, that is how you do a cross. I'm still going to see if I can find a really, really small chart, so we can actually start and just do, even if I try and draw one up myself as an easy one, and then we'll actually do a thing. But that is how you actually do the crosses on your Ada. All right then, so I'll be back next week. So please take care, stay safe, and as always, my lovelies, happy crafting. Bye.